Yeah, and now for 5RAT, I don't know. I still kind of like the Beastmaster. I think with their next pick here, though, it has to be Merlin's hero. You can't really go for anything else.
Hmm.
And you do get the ban into the pick, so makes a little bit of sense. But I'm still staring at that mid pool, and I'm thinking, is it going to be Queen of Pain? Is it going to be the Lena that we've seen, especially Solji play pretty much the entire tournament? I almost feel like Solji wants to pick the Lena just to deny it out of 5RAT's hands because you don't want to give Kits a lane that he's not going to be afraid of, as well as we've already seen Lena Faceless Void. Combo just works. You know, it's one of the few ranged heroes that has enough range to actually do damage in that Chronosphere without having to worry about being in the Chrono yourself. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Enchantress, though, keeping things pretty basic, pretty standard. I feel like Felt could probably just pick up CM here, and
Yeah.
then the Enchantress, still very valuable hero, of course, but you do get countered out a little bit by the Frostbite, and I don't know, CM still feels like a pretty great hero and a pretty nice spot. But no,
Hmm.
Rubik instead is the call, but again, we are getting a few too many 4 positions here on Felt's
Yeah.
side. I feel like this is where this Tiny is getting, again, more and more nudged into the mid position, and I don't dislike it. Solji also played it, I believe, last night, so of course he's going to be comfortable, but I don't know. Is he really going to have enough burst damage in this game? And of course, Rubik, great hero, has a stun, gets things started, but needs other spells to steal. And of course, Rubik versus Jakiro, just makes sense. But again, you're one of those more low damage fours. It's not that Snapfire that we've seen already play out so many different times in this tournament where things just kind of end up dying. And now, what do you punctuate here, Felt? Is it going to just be the carry pick, or do you gamble on your mid lane? Let's see.
Oh, they need to come up with something. 1 second on the clock, and it is going to be a position 5 in the clockwork, so that does sort of finally answer that question. The Tiny has to go mid at this point, so at least with a clockwork that gives them some lockdown, or a little bit more lockdown, I suppose, to work with. Someone who can maybe be that guy who rolls with the Tiny, with the Night Stalker a little bit more aggressively, but I don't know. Unless this clockwork just balls out, it doesn't give you too much to work with in terms of durability.
Yeah, and of course, makes sense into Jakiro and Enchantress, just having a hero that can prosecute the ranged heroes of the lineup of 5RAP, but yeah, I don't know. It's a hero that they looked great last night when the Warden was playing it, and of course, we'll have to see if there's some player role shift-ups coming in from Felt, but there's the Beastmaster. Yeah, and now the Clockwork, in a very similar fashion to Nyx Assassin, is going to struggle. Once you're in that fight, one-way ticket. You are going to get eaten alive, basically, by all of those summons. It's where the creeps look pretty great this game, and sure, you've got a little bit of wave clear coming in from the Rubik, but I don't feel like it's really enough at this point. And now that both teams, I guess, technically don't need their mid laner on the Felt side, because it most likely is just going to be the Tiny, but we're going to get more of those mid bans, and do like the Ember Spirit being taken out here. You do need to get rid of any of those free heroes, but Felt need a carry that kind of does it all at this point, and Kits is getting prosecuted, but at the same time, he also knows that it pretty much has to be a Tiny mid, so he gets to pick his hero in 100% confidence here, even though I think two of the better choices have already been taken away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not in that same position where what are we going to see here for Paradise? I would love if maybe he's able to pull out, I want to say the Morphling, but I don't know if that's something that he's got in his back pocket or if we're going to see more of a passive hero. Could also maybe see him flex up something like the PA just because of the lane versus the Beastmaster and being able to punish him pretty heavily. But aside from that, it's another slow hero. I think Felt are more balanced though. This is the least Tricori lineup I think they've tried to run. Of course, Night Stalker's going to eat a lot or most of that farm, but that's where Tiny really peels back once he gets his Blink Dagger timing, and then maybe you find a little bit more of that balance. But again, I'm still struggling for a hero that Paradise is going to play here. I think the Morph would be the most solid choice. And they go for
Hmm.
Medusa instead. Very passive, but I guess something that's going to give them maybe some more team fight to play around, and as well as, again, being kind of a counter versus the Beastmaster in lane, but I don't know. I'm not too confident in it, and maybe it feels a little bit nicer, especially with the Lena banned out. That was a fast pick, and there's Kits' Pango. So you get melee versus melee in the mid lane. You get to pick the Pango without any fear of getting absolutely counterpicked and shut out of the lane. I don't know. I feel like 5RAT got a super solid draft. Both have some things to play for sure. Of course, you're never going to count a team out, and definitely Fade has been the playmaker for the team on this Night Stalker, and he is going to see everything. I just worry about what you're actually going to be able to do once you have that vision, though. Because last time they picked the Night Stalker, they've got a Void looking for Chronos. This time, it's going to be Tiny and Clockwork trying to get something together. And again, it's a one-way trip for a lot of these heroes. Once Felt get into an engagement, they are practically stuck. And that's where I really am scared playing versus heroes like the Beastmaster and the Pango who just keep you around. Those are the
Right.
hard punishes.
It's just a fine line Felt have to sort of walk here, because everyone who's not Medusa is all about this sort of aggression, this sort of go, 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 up tempo kind of style. And if you connect, then everything's going to look honestly pretty good, right? Because you're creating that space for your Dusa while also finding the kills that are going to get your other heroes their money, to account for the fact that they're not farming as much. The problem is, that's assuming every single gank hits, every rotation works, that you're not missing, that these ascensions aren't misplaced or mistimed. Because once you do start missing, 5RAT have everything at their disposal to punish both you and the Dusa if they go hunting for her.
Yeah, no, it can be a very difficult lineup to run, and I don't know, is Medusa enough team fight for you to just win versus Faceless Void? I don't know. We'll have to see, because of course, if Paradise can get off to a fantastic start, you get that net worth gap, you farm a lot faster than Faceless Void, but as we'll see in the net worth chart, if you ever get caught, that's where things look real grim real quickly. But we'll have to see. A lot of this game does come down to play whether or not 5RAT can make those active heroes work out and how slowed down they can get in the lanes, especially speed. He has a slightly slower Helm of the Dominator timing, doesn't get the Medusa's tower that soon. It ends up being a pretty nice rotation from Paradise from bottom lane into the middle lane, where he just becomes that new tower defender as the Tiny gets active. But again, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things that need to go right for both sides, and more DCs, more lags. One thing we can be a little bit more certain of, though, is a lot of the players in this lobby are in USEs, so the connection should be pretty quick to get back in here.
Hmm? And those are some famous last words, ET, because we're going to be sitting here for 25 minutes now that you've said that. So, you have cursed us. Hope you're happy, but yeah. All jokes aside, hopefully this is a quick DC, because I don't know if my sanity can stand another extended pause, but we are going to be getting this one going, and, well, I don't know, ET. I think it's a little unfair to think this way, but I'm gonna think it anyway. If this were any team other than Felt, except maybe Five Man Midas, because we don't trust them at all, I would look at this as a little bit more doable. But Felt's performance has just been so iffy. Their execution has been off, other than that one series they won, where even something that on paper you can see the benefits of trying to buy the time for this Medusa, I'm just not sure if they're going to be capable of pulling it off.
Yeah, and I think really the first hint of what kind of series we're going to get from this team is just when that first mid-game nighttime happens, whether or not we're going to see them actually be able to make anything happen. That 15 to 20-minute period where Fade will have a single item, that's going to be kind of your answer here. That's going to be Tiny Blink as well, where are they winning the lanes? Are they making plays happen? Are they getting early level 6s on their supports? Or are they just going up against the stone wall that is 5RATFORCESTAFF, where 5RAT have just a little bit more agency, have a little bit more to play for? And yet again, just simply a game where if Kits gets the Rolling Thunder off, the team fight's blown wide open. It's where there's no two ways about it. You need to find him first with the Night Stalker ulti, with the Dark Ascension, the Flying Vision. And if you don't, everything can just start to fall apart real quick. But again, gotta be positive, you know? Every Dota game starts out 100% even. It's just that breakdown. And I think, again, that mid game is going to be the first sign either of life or of despair coming into the series. But again, we'll have to see. Smoke up, though, ward on ward action. DNM's got to be a little bit careful here. They did see him for just a second, but of course, Faceless Void is one of the most difficult heroes to gank because he just time walks it off. He just runs away.
Of course, with the way the trees are lined up, I don't think this first ward spotted the Felt ward go down as AB1. Yep, those are heroes. Time to back it up. But, oh, they're going to get everyone away. Of course, they give up the rune spot, but no attempt at first blood.
Instead, walk away. Paradise going to make the long check back up to the top lane, as Medusa does, but we will have to see. And we'll have to see how this Clockwork actually pans out, because Merlin's already changed up his item build on the Enchantress. Boots first Enchantress just to counter out any attempt of the
Oh.
battery assault, so will be incredibly difficult actually for that Clockwork to close the gap. Could be the solution perhaps for him, but of course that also means that speed will become the new target because he is very slow and very catchable. Just a matter of whether or not that gap can be closed. But Medusa versus Beastmaster, of course, is a pretty nice lane for the Medusa. The lane does eventually push out into the Beastmaster, and then he ends up getting a lot of last hits underneath tower, but having another unit in the lane, just another thing to bounce that snake off of.
Of course, that's assuming Speed's going to go for it. He could opt for the Axes build. He has put the first point into it, so we'll see what he looks to do. We'll also see how much time Merlin actually spends in this lane, because if it does play out the way that you were sort of saying and it pushes into Speed, then Merlin could do a lot of just sort of maybe scouting and potentially even stacking in the jungle so that Speed gets all of that solo XP as... Yeah, Merlin's got to deal with the battery assault, but that's what the boots are for. He does take some damage, but he's able to walk away from the full duration.
Yeah, and that's where we will continuously see Merlin just poke and prod. It's why he has the Impetus level 1 as well, because he's going to have to wait for his sentry to fly out on his next courier ride, because he needed to get tangos with the first one. But yeah, this lane top, though, I think should be boring up until the point where we get maybe a few more points in the battery assault and the snake, and then maybe we can see some trades happen.
Yeah, for now, just some skirmishing, damage being exchanged. Merlin, it's really being annoying, especially onto Paradise. You see his health kind of chunked down because he took the snake at level 1, so without the shield, he's not really able to mitigate any of that damage. In the meantime, well, down bot, AB1, this is just what he does on this hero. He is obnoxious as all hell with the dual breath. Throwing it out onto the Warden. Sure, he's going to clip the creep wave every once in a while, but as long as they can keep the equilibrium under control, the damage is going to be worth the exchange.
Yeah, and you even see the Warden just kind of throwing out Fade Bolts to make sure a lot of these creeps don't get denied. It is just another EXP battle. It's where you just want to get as many levels as you can, and then first nighttime, you can start to get a little bit more aggressive. But until then, it is pretty difficult to force any of these heroes out. They're just simply too strong compared to the spells that they can actually put out onto yourselves. But yeah, another waiting game, I think.
And then, looking over to the middle lane, oh, Pango versus Tiny. A lot of burst potential between these two, but no one can really take the other from 100 to 0. You're going to have to step pretty far out, or Solji would need the toss back under tower to sort of help, as 1-1 split on the water runes as well, so really just not a whole lot going. All three lanes, ET, are fairly calm.
Yeah, and of course, in the Tiny matchup, you do have the tree grab, you can fight for denies, where the Pango has a little bit more of a difficult time, but that's also where it is the race to the level 6. If Solji can get Grow, then he really can't die to Swashbuckle anymore, he just has simply too much armor. And then, of course, it becomes a matter of whether or not you get that Blink Dagger, or if you decide to go for maybe some smaller items, but I feel like that's where the rush is almost inevitable from Solji. But yeah, no, we are locked in that little bit longer laning stage, as these heroes all pretty typically want both the Medusa and the Faceless Void. They want to look for the Midas, they want to look for their extended levels, and then it's going to be a while before we see a breakdown of the lane. The first breakdown is definitely going to be on Speed's Helm of the Dominator timing, but before that, there really is no way to get this game started.
Yeah, it is a very much economic focus in the early stages, and you can see that emphasized by the fact that Speed is not going for that sort of higher axe build. 2 points up in the boar and the hawk, so... Oh, hold on a second, what is that? Okay, the clock just kind of steps into it. Huh. I'm not sure if he didn't see the smasher or just kind of forgot what Thunderclap can do to him, but that really just sets that whole thing up, and that's first blood to 5RAT.
Yeah, that's, yeah, kind of a weird one. I don't know, just ended up getting hit by the Hellbear Smasher, gets slowed up by the Boars. Now you're going to get 2 range creeps tonight underneath you as well. Just lost control of that Archcamp for a second, and then Enchantress makes you hurt. And we'll see if Merlin actually goes for the pull now, or instead just pulls it back. But again, with the wave always so far forward, this is the risk of Medusa. The wave is so close towards that Radiant Tower. You have to walk up so far, and if you do get caught by those slows, the walk back to the tower is not pretty. You eat up so much harass damage.
Well, there's a slight XP advantage now in favor of Speed after that one, but... it's not really a full level at this point. I think it was barely even half, so... not too much to worry about if you're the Dusa. Just gotta keep on doing what you're doing and hoping for the best, but I think really the number one person that we're looking at in the early stages, ET, in terms of having any agency is Merlin on this Enchantress. He's gonna grab himself the Pine Cone and, well, some extra harass that can happen here, and maybe even a push, because the clock, you're going to take a lot of damage from this. He did go for the Cog Trap, but... oh, he actually got pushes back onto both. That's an interesting one, but here comes that Acorn coming through. Not enough damage for any kills, but everybody is really just getting into an awkward spot here. Paradise pushed back under tower, but that means the clock is alone. We're going to cut through the trees, get some vision on him. Impetus is back up, a little bit of extra damage, and this should be a kill as Merlin gets 2 back-to-back kills in this lane, and this Clockwork is not having a good time.
No, just getting kind of punished for being Clockwork, you know, which is hard to say because they wanted it for that situation after he has hookshot where he can put a lot of pressure on the Enchantress and the Jakiro, but just isn't panning out, and I think losing control of that large camp is a large reason why he's struggling so much. But now it's Merlin's turn to be a little bit too far forward, and yeah, there you go. Stuck in the cogs. He just simply walks up on top of you. A little bit of a mistake, but of course now solo XP for speed as he closes his on his helmet with the Dominator and his level 6. Beastmaster's happy that the Ench is gone.
Yeah, it's a nice little play for him, but yeah, Merlin maybe lost track of the timer on his creep there too, because the Warpine Raider just kind of drops in front of him at the most awkward time, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. Merlin should be back in lane, although with the way he's hanging out mid, maybe, or excuse me, not mid, in the fountain, maybe he TP's mid for a bottle refill, something along those lines. No, it's just to be a courier. Okay. Fair enough. Faster than actually bringing the courier out as the Dom Helm is now complete, and, well, this is going to be obnoxious. Now there's 2 creeps that are going to be coming at you, 2 Pine Cones with their damage, and if the clock wasn't having fun before, he's going to be having even less fun now.
Yeah, and you also see it reflected in the Medusa, where speed is maybe barely pushing the wave in, but it's where this lane gets more and more dangerous to stick around. And with Kits here, well, he might just need to throw out Swash, and then I feel like this Clockwork might just be dead. And yeah, there you go. Super free kill. A free play as well for the Pango, as you do get slightly more active than the Tiny, and Tiny needs his Blink Dagger. You can maybe make a TP rotation, but unless you catch a hero making a mistake near the tree line, as Kits is kind of in that zone, but you just don't have enough damage to take anybody out just yet. You don't even have maxed out Avalanche, and timed up with everything else going on with the Flag Bearer, your tier 1's gone. There you go.
That's pre-10 minutes, too. Yeah, who needs the card? A Solji. Okay. Gonna get something to go there with the kill into Merlin, but Kit says, hey, you just used some of your spells, and he's not even gonna go for Solji. He's just looking at the Dusa. That would be a much more valuable pickup. They do need some more damage, but here comes speed. Roar will be deployed, locking down 2. Paradise isn't making it out. Solji's gonna try to TP home. And okay, he gets away, but Paradise is the more valuable kill there. At the same time, yeah, AB1 gets taken down. DNM, though, is going to pop the Chrono, trying to get the Night Stalker kill. He really just doesn't have damage, though. This is going to be a bit of an issue for him. But Merlin comes into the fight, drops the Enchant. They get some bashes now onto the Clockwork, trying to finish him off, but I don't think they have enough for that kill either. That's a bit of a rough one. That's Chrono down for no kill. Meanwhile, the Warden in the river takes a haste rune away from Kit. So, very strong start to those engagements for 5RAT, but the second attempts are a little bit off.
Yeah, and DNM just simply didn't bash. He's got the bash build. He has 3 points up in time lock, but yeah, got a bit unlucky, and losing the Jakiro, of course, AB1 is a little bit more damage in his Chronos here that he just didn't have available to him. But hey, not the worst case scenario. Slight misuse, but again, he's trying for it. But that doesn't slow down the Beastmaster in the slightest, and yeah.
Well, that's one hell of a stack, and it's gonna get completely stolen.
Yeah. And they're pinging it out, and maybe a Fadeball, but even then the Warden is kind of scared to make his attempt up here, and
Speed?
they drag all the creeps out. Yeah, they're killing the Beastmaster, but Beastmaster's killing
I don't know if they're killing the Beastmaster at this point, though. Hold on a second. Speed's getting out of here. Oh, man, this is gonna hurt if they don't get the kill. And now at this point, look at the Roar. 5 seconds. Merlin's just trying to buy some time. That's right. Look at me. I'm the Enchantress. Pay no attention to my teammate. But Fate says, no. I know what's up. I'm going to track the Beastmaster down. He should be able to get this kill. And that does break that play up. Merlin, though, Merlin just killed Paradise. A little bit more of a distraction than I thought as he finally gets taken down, but that doesn't really make this trade worth it now if the Medusa gets taken out again.
Yeah, no, Medusa isn't able to take over that role, and unfortunately, with how fast of a tier 1 tower and it actually getting taken, it means that your Tiny still has to be mid. You can't give the lane over to the Medusa. It's why he's in the jungle and forced into these really odd spots, because it's still Tiny time. You still need your Blink Dagger. He needs that more than you need your farm that you're desperately looking for, but you also can't rotate out of the jungle just yet because you're only level 6. You don't have that many points up actually in the split shot. So you farm pretty darn slow. Just, again, kind of 5RAT making their one lane feel like even more. Because, yeah, there's just not really any space for her. And, of course, now that you've kicked out, effectively, your Night Stalker, who did rotate top and got some nice kills going for him, well, now Night Stalker can't play in his own lane, so he's stuck jungling, which, again, makes one of your cores suffer. Somebody has to be a loser now for Felt.
And it's so unfortunate because we were giving them some credit in the draft, DT, about the fact that they had sort of avoided that Tricore, right? That the Night Stalker and or Tiny could maybe have less farm priority because they were trying to be active, but if they need to farm up these items to then get active because of this slow start, then that effect has been nullified and you're still really starved out for farm, as the Clockwork is going to get starved out for life, generally, as he is not making it out of that one. His own cogs trap him in. The Warden still swashbuckle, but no, never mind. Immediately makes a good use of it, getting away from the gank. Kits, I don't know about that. That's maybe if that full swashbuckle connects, you do something, but as it stands, they just fall back. They're going to take the other stacked camp in this jungle as well, so at this point, Felt, boy, really just not even getting the benefits of their own sort of macro plays here.
Yeah, and then the Medusa walks back over to mid, and she sees that those camps are farmed, and then Speed ends up blocking half of the ones that are safe. It's just 5RAT really being pests right now. They're just so obnoxious. And, well, Blink Dagger is almost on board for Solji. Right now he's hunting a little bit here, trying to find Speed a little bit too far up and making that punish happen with Fade, but with that Blink Dagger, things are going to change positively for Felt. Maybe a little bit more here, but you actually have to find heroes to kill, though. That's where they're pretty tanky. And if you have raindrops, honestly, you're going to struggle for damage just a little bit coming in from the Tiny, but you still have to make those engagements happen. It's where you will find some space for the Medusa finally, but without those plays working out, then the Tiny is the one to, again, suffer. Somebody ends up being a loser, but this is where smoke up coming through from Felt. Hopefully something pleasant happens here. No hook shot, though. This is just going to be Solji probably going for a toss back here. Looking at Kits.
Okay,
There's the Blink Dagger as well. Perfect.
And they've got it. They find Kits. They're looking for the Merlin Enchantress as well. Cog Trap comes through. Paradise snags the kill there. That's a nice one. Just bring him over at the very end of the fight, steal a kill, walk away to the jungle. And that's probably the best executed play Felt could have gone for at that point. They make it work, and that's what we need to see. Every single time, when the blinks are available, when the Dark Ascension's up, just go in for that same gank over and over again.
Yeah, and I was concerned for a second because on Fade, didn't know if that was a Midas coming out with his Glove of Haste or if that was the actual Blink Dagger, but so glad he decided to go for the Blink Rush, because without that, that would have been a play blown wide open. Solji wouldn't have another man to play with, and of course, without the hook shot, that already felt like a little bit of a forcing move. But now,
Speaking of forcing,
abilities. Oh,
Chrono gets away, and this is looking awkward. The macro pyre's gonna do so much damage into the roar, into the roll. Oh, 5RAT, boy. You know, you're inches away from messing that whole play up, but when it works, that's what it looks like. 3 easy kills, a tier 1 tower. They honestly could keep this going with everybody hanging out mid, but they are going to sort of disperse after the team fight is won.
Yeah, and it's still a mistake to get caught in that situation. Even if Felt get the burst on the Kits, pretty sure they're just dead regardless, just with how well and how set up everybody else in the lineup was. But I can understand wanting to make that play happen, but still, it's a tough pill to swallow. But now, Night Stalker again wants to get aggressive, and I think you'll probably see him TP towards bottom once Nighttime and Dark Ascension is back up, but they immediately just TP all 3 heroes back down bottom to try and punish DNM for sticking around, but oh, do they find AB1? Yeah.
They're not getting this kill as quickly as they might have liked, though, but the pushback from the Cogs will do it. Kits, though, is thinking about this, but without the Rolling Thunder, little too tough of a play to try and make. So, Felt get their kill. They get their tower. Looking okay. Looking for a little bit more, actually, as Kits wanders into the jungle. Okay. That's definitely swinging things a little bit better their way, and this is the duo that we need to see, right? Fade and Solji make it happen again, and I mean, when they're on point, when they're pushing in the night with double blink daggers and silence, there are very few heroes they can't kill.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Kit thought that was just going to be another bounty room that he could bottle up, but doesn't realize that the Night Stalker's already left the top lane, and that's where, again, another smoke. This would be a nice play, especially onto speed here. There's no Night Stalker this time, but I think they've got enough damage, and yeah, there you go.
Oh,
And
he
they
stole
stole
the
the roar.
Immediately using it to lock down Merlin. They'll trap him up in the cogs. He is going to try and get some damage onto Solji, and Solji does have to be careful. He was very nearly taken down. I think one more impetus might have finished him off, but all's well that ends well. Solji lives. Solji actually gets the kill. Warden still has Stolen Roar that's now cooling down, and well, this is starting to add up at this point, right? This was a net worth lead of about 4K for 5RAT that's been effectively cut in half.
Yeah, and it's just the punishes that they have to make. And again, this is that important timing where they are just straight up stronger than their opponents. This is the nighttime for free. Even goes back to the Ag shard on Fade, just letting him stay out on the map even longer. It's where I think one more kill onto speed, and they'll be pretty happy with themselves. One thing not to fall into, one place that I don't think Felt should play at all is kind of in this top area, because now, if you get any chrono, if you get a counterplay with how close speed is to that Helm of the Overlord, they just go into Roche if you mess this play up. They just immediate punish you and get an Aegis onto the Faceless Void. That could make this game a whole lot safer for 5RAT. But again, kill into speed could be huge, but Kits is already on his way. En route, but...
Okay.
Oh no!
This is getting a little bit
Messed
awkward,
up.
though. The damage just isn't there right now, and here comes Kits rolling his way in. They're going to take down the Clockwork. They're looking for Solji now as well. Hitting him up multiple times. Meanwhile, DNM can't cancel the TP. Didn't want to use the Chrono for it, so they won't get the Rubik,
boy.
but they do get the Tiny. And ET, I mean, you drew him a damn picture. Just a 12-step plan of why they should not do it. They do it anyway, and now they're in trouble.
And now, yeah, they just refocus. They look over towards the pit. They have a Wraith Pact. Actually doesn't go for the Helm of the Overlord. Instead decides to split it. And I kind of agree. It makes a lot of sense versus Tiny and heroes that don't build BKB too quickly. The Wraith Pact is just gut-wrenching. It just quarters your damage. Not fun to play around in the slightest. And even though you've got a Clockwork, you know Hookshot's not there. And, well, free Roche. Unfortunate timing for Felt, but yeah. And now, DNM is not the gank target. You have to get a clean initiation onto either the Kits or Speed. Otherwise, that's another team fight just blown wide open. I don't know. One sucks, but again, it's the misplays that I'll keep on highlighting around the Roche pit that these teams just don't seem to acknowledge just yet. As
Now
Fade
they
blink
miss
mid.
on Merlin.
Yeah.
Well, and they were doing so well, too. They got, like, 3 straight ganks that all worked out, and then you just try it one too many times in the wrong spot on the wrong person, and momentum is starting to shift back over to the 5RAT side. That's a Blink Dagger up now on Kits, so your Pango's looking for plays. Your Faceless Void's got 2 lives in Chrono. He's going to be looking for plays, and they'll have to be so unbelievably careful. And right now, if you're this Duce, if you're Paradise, you've been farming very, very well. He's caught up quite a bit, but just keep an eye out, right? Can't afford a tunnel vision. Look at that minimap. Make sure you're not the one getting jumped in on, because that would be a massive setback if they were to lose Paradise now.
Yeah, and it's where the Medusa is doing her job. She's getting the side lanes pushed out. With the Manta, she doesn't need to show either. She can just retreat into the jungle. It's something that 5RAT have chosen not to address just yet here, but ooh, this is Blink Dagger on Pango. He doesn't want just the Clockwork in. He will not hit on that Tiny, so they will have to settle for just the clock. But now pressure onto that mid wave, and probably this mid tower is going to eat a whole bunch of damage. We'll see, though. Solji, he's kind of antsy. He kind of wants to go in. Fade is also angling in, maybe looking for something, but he's also been scouted out, and oh no.
Well, he got up the Ascension, but with the Inhibit still on him, he was so damn slow. Now the Roar comes in, and the silence doesn't matter. That is very bad. That's honestly worse than if you just hadn't gone for the creep cut, because they're absolutely going to lose this tower now.
Now they're pushing in. And Paradise is here. and they know without Roar Rolling Thunder, he can afford to just stand here. It isn't
DNM
maybe
wants
the,
it, though. He's thinking, he's going.
Oh.
Chrono down, macro power deployed. Kits comes in with the swashbuckle for the extra damage. Now the ice path put underneath, and, well, who needs roll? Who needs roar? We've got the damage, we've got the lockdown, and Felt just, every time they need to make some sort of assumption, it ends up kind of being the wrong one now, and that's their high ground under attack. There's no chrono, but even if you try to push onto DNM, he's got the Aegis.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, even with really what they had there, I felt like that was just kind of a stretch. I understand the Medusa wants to try and do something, but the Warden's not even there. I think if he just throws out a Fade Bolt, any damage reduction probably would result in her not dying just as kind of raw dog as that was, because that was just immediate. That was painful, and that was free, because you wanted to use Chrono. You wanted to get something out of your ability that you haven't used in quite a bit, but no, that's really miserable, and, well, Felt would want revenge, but it's daytime. You used the Dark Ascension already to try and escape back in the mid lane, so you're now in the ultimate downtime where they simply can't do anything, and 5RAT, who don't want to do anything as they wait for either a smoke coming out from Beastmaster Pango or the Chronosphere to come back up, they're going to have everything by the next time they actively want a team fight.
And Kits, you see he's got the DD rune bottled up here as well, so anyone goes too far forward, they are going to be able to make some sort of move onto him. And you look at Fade, he is inching a little bit further away from his buddies. Looks like he is going to sort of fall back now, but it's risky. Speaking of risky, Solji is smoked up by himself now. He's been spotted. He's going to be able to back away. Speed doesn't have anything like a blink to close that gap, but they know what's up. They know that there are people hanging out mid, and this is looking like a potential wraparound play. Kits, though, actually just goes straight in. Hookshot from the clock is into the backside of his own teammate, and this is where it all falls apart. It's time to run, but Felt can't go anywhere. Solji's already dead. That's a stolen roar from the Warden to try and help, but I guess it does help Fade get away. That's got to count for something, but they still lose 2 there.
Yeah, and
Fade's going to try and go.
Oh, he's trying to make anything happen with his Dark Ascension, and he will attempt to cut the wave, which, of course, is going to be a little bit annoying. But, again, you use Dark Ascension, it is now daytime, and Fade is actually looking for you, and he'll know that it cancels out. Of course, you can just TP away without having, I want to say, the Jakiro connected with you. You don't have that Ice Path to break the TP, but you are now, again, a melee creep, a Daywalker. You now can do pretty much nothing for the remainder of this cycle while you just have to sit and wait it out. And 5RAT, their Aegis does expire. DNM doesn't have that to play around with anymore. We'll be able to slot in a BKB for that Aegis slot. But I feel like Felt, they would love to make at least one more play, but what I'm afraid of happening is 5RAT just stall off the map now. They don't let 5RAT or Felt leave the high ground, and then the only one who gets any farm is just the Medusa farming the waves. And then you end up just getting no more item progression, even though you sorely need some of these big items to come through on your core still, especially Fade's BKB. Even, I think, Soldier getting a BKB, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. He only has an Echo Saber right now.
Yeah, he is starting to, he's starting to drop off a little bit there on the Tiny. You take well, actually, more than a little bit, Jesus. I didn't actually look at the net worth when I said that. He's several thousand behind everyone else, so not good. And exactly what we were worried about with this lineup. If those ganks didn't connect, if you started losing momentum, well, the Medusa was the only one who's going to be able to pick up anything. So now what do? Tier 2 tower taken in the bottom lane. High ground threatened. They're going to start bringing some heroes back. This TP from Clock, though, is not as sneaky as he thought it was. He's going to take down the Hawk, but no position to just go straight in for a hook shot. So Felt are just trying to slow it down, trying to buy as much time as they can, I suppose, but it's not looking fun for them. And at this point, ET, I don't know, do they try? Smoke is 5, wait on the next Ascension and try and do something then? Because it feels like if they don't, they're just losing too much.
Yeah, no, it's where the passivity is kind of gnawing away at you. You want them to get active, but you know that they're just a little bit scared of making a mistake, and in doing so, they end up being just kind of stuck on their own side of the map. And sure, Medusa's farming. Medusa's showing.
That's a problem. There's the Chrono. They're going to throw down the Macro Pyre. The Dual Breath coming in as well. Hookshot on the back line, though, trying to keep Paradise alive, but they burned through a lot of that shield already, and he's dead. doesn't even get the full duration of his Stone Gaze off before he goes down. Now Solji's going to get stunned up as well. They've lost both of their main cores. I guess technically Kits will die on the back line there, but you don't really care about that. The main engine is still here for the push in DNM and Speed, and they are going to push their way forward.
Yeah, and it's still, I think it's a great initiation from Fade. The only reason I think that team fight's not an absolute wash is because he gets onto that Pango before the Rolling Thunder does go off. The entire reason they went for this Night Stalker. But yeah, losing the Medusa, and we'll have to see again, Roche timer, see if it's a kind Roche or it's a cranky one. But the shorter it is, the more it's going to favor 5RAT. The longer it is, more of a chance we might see Paradise actually be able to fight with his own Scotty. But that's where it's still just so many losses on Felt. And really, again, no items being completed. Fade, though, being the winner and being the escapee of that team fight, will have a BKB, something for him to play for. But other than that, everybody else has really stalled down.
They're pushing.
And no Chrono. They're kind of pushing out here. And with BKB on the Pango, he can actually afford to stay on a lot of these units. There's a BKB on Speed, though, so you will probably just get Primal Roared if you end up sticking yourself out too far. But gotta be very careful here. I feel like Felt want to try at least one more smoke before this Chrono's up, but at the same time, you really do just need the Scotty. It's just a really rough timing now, because you want to do two things at the same time, but because of your Medusa just being slightly too poor, you don't get to have this play. And really, Tiny hitting mid-tower. Oh, you better not get caught here.
Oh, okay. Speed's just holding his BKB, though. This is a trap, and Fade, he's going to find that out. He pops his own BKB, but it's too late. The roar's in, and he's gone. 100% baited. The Warden does use a stolen roar to stop Kits, but yeah, Fade just, I don't know if he didn't look at the inventory or what. That's kind of rough, though. And now with Roche up in 10, I'm not sure if Felt really have an opening to contest it.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I think this is where you do just wait for your Scotty to be done and then sit on the high ground.
Nope, go back. Go back. Unfortunate.
See, it's where he's got the right idea, but you have to wait, 5 seconds after the Roche timer on the number, just in case to see if he does the thing. And okay, they won't get it started right away, but I feel like that's where DNM, and they've also got a hot coming as well. Sees it, starts it, doesn't have to buy his own Ag Shard. Yeah, it's just gonna be free. And Felt will importantly finish off again that Scotty on the Medusa before the next high ground defense will be forced upon them. But other than that, that's going to be the last one before you get bottled up here. And again, looking over at Solji, trying to get the split push done. He could disassemble his Echo Saber for a BKB just to try and help himself out, but he's still even a little bit away from that. So we'll see if time can now be bought for really this last batch of items for Felt to kind of keep ahead in this game, or this might just be Doomsday. This might just be the end-all be-all here.
They'll smoke off of the Roche attempt, making their way towards the east. There's Paradise. The DNM. He didn't quite have the range. Time Walk's coming back up, though. But he also has to be wary of the fact that his teammates are very far behind him, so most of the chrono duration really wouldn't be put to effective use. He's going to pop his BKB instead, but can he keep anyone here? Well, not really. Still trying to push his way forward, though, as the clockwork was slowed up from the dual breath. He's going to go for the defensive cogs, but okay, DNM will still find that kill, but Paradise, he didn't just TP out, he's trying to walk, and that's a little bit awkward. A defensive telekinesis coming in to try and help him out, and okay, that gets him back into the base. The other half of Felt, though, are still kind of hanging out outside, so they need to make their way home as well. But realistically speaking, if the clock's the only person to die there, his death timer is not even that long. He's only 10 seconds out. Solji, that is a little too greedy. DNM, though, doesn't have the damage to just insta-kill him, so Solji's going to try to TP, and DNM actually over-jumps on the Time Walk, so he doesn't even have a chance at a bash, and that goes remarkably well. They get a tier 2, Fade finished a tier 1 while that was all happening, and everyone goes home safely.
Yeah, and, well, you could say it's a slight vision advantage from Felt, but they have now effectively delayed this game. That was a wasted chrono. That's something that they cannot use to now pressure the map. They've cut 2 of the 3 creep waves as well, so Felt don't get to force them back onto the high ground just yet here. They just bought a good 2 or 3 minutes for themselves. And okay, Dark Ascension.
Roar, still stolen. That's going to lock D&M down, but that does mean Kits can now go in. But they did activate that Stone Gaze already. It's starting to lose its timer, though, and Kits is still going. This fight is so broken up at this point. The Clockwork not going to be a distraction any longer, but at the same time, Kits is dropping pretty rapidly. He needs to be able to get away. The Swashbuckle is going to get him to safety. He did step back into a stolen Ice Path, though, which means Fade comes in to finish the kill. But over on the other side, they've gotten through the Mana Shield. Paradise needs help. Nobody's coming in to save him, though, so he will fall. And it looks like Felt might be running out of gas, but here comes the Tiny into the fight. Soldier's going to get the Avalanche off. The toss is there as well, but even if they found that, it would have only been DNM's first life, and they don't even get it in the second the Avatos combo's gone, ET. Soldier's dead.
Yep, it turns daytime. They run out of gas in the tank. I feel like in that fight, Merlin, yeah, did the most damage on his team. He's just chunking through people with Impetus. And then Night Stalker can't do anything. He can try to put as much pressure as he wants onto the Jakiro, but aside from that, you just have too many big cores right now. And of course, you've got buyback on the Medusa, worst case scenario, but you do not want to ruin her item progression. If you do buyback now, that probably is going to be the last item that you see for her. And well, this is probably at least one Rax. Still a nice path though. Very obnoxious, as it always will be. But Fade, well, nice save. Trying the Warden.
Oh, the Warden's just doing hero plays, but it's still not going to be enough. DNM gets in with the Time Walk. And they will finish the job. Now they go back for the top racks, and... oh, the Deuce is back up, but... without Fade, who's going to sort of jump in? Solji has to be the guy, but as we just saw... he doesn't really have much, right? If his combo doesn't kill, which it will there, but if it doesn't, then he's just stuck in the middle of the fight, and 5RAT can kind of just hack away at him as the clock is... gonna make an attempt at it. Gotta give him points for the effort, but they're actually still trying. There's the Stone Gaze coming out again. DNM... they would love to just ignore him because he does have the Aegis. But I don't think they're going to have the luxury of doing that. He's coming back up with a second life. Meanwhile, the Dusa trapped up inside of the Ice Path and the Chrono. This is a bit of a disaster now. There's going to be the Medusa taken down. Solji dropping low as well. Dusa has buyback. Tiny has buyback as well. And at this point, ET, I mean, if they don't use these buybacks, they might just get... actually, yeah, might just get Mega.
Yeah, I think right now they're just waiting for them to walk towards that bottom racks. They'll probably buy on the Night Stalker, trying to find an initiation here. If you can find the Pango, that's your first kill. And well, can they get him out? They need to force him. They will force him. Oh, and now if they get away cleanly, this is just worst case scenario. You're definitely going to get AB1 speed. Oh, the Stone Roar again. Well, they're getting everyone.
Oh, they got Kits too. Okay. That goes so much better than I really thought that it would. Yeah, they cancel out multiple TPs. And the Warden, I mean, at this point, ET, the Warden's really the only reason I think they haven't lost yet. He's just doing everything he possibly can to keep them in it. And, I mean, that's not a momentum swing. That's not going to be enough for Felt to suddenly march their way down mid. But they once again buy themselves some time.
Yeah, no. And time is certainly bought, of course. There's no worse position to be in Dota than being down buybacks versus a Faceless Void, because he will just kill you. He will just 100 to 0 you, and then that'll be the end of your story. But some moments, some time, you can especially finish this Butterfly off of Paradise, then, well, Evasion is one of the better answers. It's not like DNM has an MKB in his back pocket, so could be your scant situation where you actually might be able to survive a Chronosphere, at least on the Dusa, and everybody else is coming and kind of falling into some item timings here. I don't want to get too excited and say that maybe you get the Ags on Tiny before that next high ground push comes, but you almost certainly are going to finish the AC up on Fade, and then another hero that's going to beef up right before this next team fight can happen. 5RAT definitely lost their easy win by getting caught at the end there, but yeah, like you said, Warden has been doing everything and anything to keep his team alive. So many hero plays coming out from him. Also, I'm so surprised that Speed keeps on giving Roar over. I understand that it's, you know, kind of hard. It's got a long backswing coming out, but I don't know. You just have axes. It's one of those things that I don't think you end up thinking about until it happens, but that's probably the 5th time that Roar's been stolen, and especially when you've got a Pango on your team, I don't know, it just seems like a liability at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, do you need to have the Boar before the fight? I mean, maybe you even just save something like that. I understand the Hawk for the Vision and the Root, but the Boar, just hold that. Just hold that until you roar, drop the Boar. You don't care about giving it up, you know.
This is it, though. Look at the ward.
Okay.
There's smoke too, though. And without a sentry placed here, they don't know how aggressive, but they do break. They see AB1.
These are getting very tense at this point. Taking a look at buybacks once again. The Rubik does have one. Everyone else short of either time or money for Felt. Meanwhile, if you're 5RAT, you do have some bodies to throw into this, right? Speed and kits being the sort of biggest ones there, so that is another thing you have to worry about if you're Felt. If you find these kills, that's great, but 5RAT could just throw more bodies at you, and it just means they have to take a unbelievably clear, sort of definitive teamfight win. It can't be iffy.
No, it can't. Has to be clean. It has to be a nice jump. And again, hate to say it, Roche is up in 20 seconds. We could see 5RAT, instead of tempting fate and going up on the high ground where they could instead throw into Felt's favor, they might just decide to go for the full reset, say that that's going to be our best bet. Of course, Felt will know about it. They've got Clockwork, got the global vision that they can then immediately scout it out. But Fade, oh, you're just going to get roared.
Ooh.
Nope, blinks out. And gets lifted as well, and okay, this is the way the team fight ends up breaking, but that's also Dark Ascension committed for basically just vision, just to prep it up in 4 seconds. That is Roche alive. That is the fastest possible Roche timer.
Oh my god. It's coming back. Well, I'm really just kind of scratching my head on the Dark Ascension there. Fade might have just been on a different sort of wavelength compared to his teammates, different brainwave there, because no one else seemed to be in any position to do anything. Maybe he just thought that 5RAT were going to keep chasing, but it's a pretty long cooldown, and they don't really get much out of it. Roshan respawns, which they should be finding out about on Felt right about now as the flare flies through, but you use Dark Ascension, so it has to be the clock to get in there, or I guess Solji with the blink, but blinking directly into the pit with very little vision is going to be tantamount to suicide.
Oh, and they see him with the Hawk. They've got the angle, trying for the force staff, but
kits!
cut off. Whoa.
What a play. I don't know if he meant to do that. I think he blinked into it, so I'm going to give him the credit for it. That's genius.
No, you couldn't have timed it better as well, because sometimes, even when you get a hook shot off, you know, your body gets dragged along, even if you get stunned, but no, the Rolling Thunder stops it all. They were also very aware of his positioning, though. He was just running through Hawk after Hawk to try and make that play happen, but yeah, that's kind of sad for Felt, because you just ran into pretty much all of that next batch of item timings I was highlighting. Got the AC, you got the Butterfly. You would have loved to make that engagement happen, but now, wonder who got the Ags as well. I guess it's Shakiro Ags. Everyone has pure damage macro pliers, so anybody that gets chronoed might just die 100-0, especially Paradise. Because, I mean, the Butterfly, it helps versus the Void, but not versus the Jakiro. Doesn't even have level 18 macro.
Merlin has a Moon Shard.
Oh, nice.
God damn, he knows what he's about. There's the jump, and this is going to get ugly real fast. Hook shot in onto the backline will help out, but they've got to keep Paradise alive. Can they do so? Dusa dropping low. No one's in here to actually help, though, but Paradise is walking away, but DNM says no. Gonna track it down, finds the kill. No buyback for 2 more minutes, and I think that might just be the end of it. There is a buyback out from Fade, but without the Medusa, can they really do this? Solji is... I think he was trying to get the toss back into the fountain there, but he didn't actually get it off. Now he'll toss somebody. It is Kits. Kits will eventually die, but the GG already called, so Felt... They get one play there at the end, but not going to be enough to matter.
Nope, it doesn't end up mattering. Man, feels bad. Just get chronoed, literally 100-0. You don't get stone giz off. You don't get anything off. You just die. It's pure damage macro pyre with the Faceless Void hitting you. But hey, what can you do? Going to game 2, I guess, is the only thing you can do if you're Felt. And again, something's going right. And again, the Warden has an extremely solid performance yet again here. I mean, he's really kind of the standout player for his team at this point. But I think draft-wise, 5RAT just kind of have your number here. If they get too many things that just end up working out, and again, having the Beast hero, one of the bestial heroes, it just ends up giving you this nice roadmap. You can always push buildings. You can always look to threaten Roche. And then Felt making the cardinal sin mistake of dying as the same side as the Roche pit is versus the team with the Vlads. I mean, it's just scripted at this point. But why there is a game 2, and Felt, fingers crossed, get last pick. Maybe they have something a little bit better in their back pocket here, and maybe they just look for the counters instead. But yeah, just real easy victory, I think, for 5RAT here. Hopefully, game two again, maybe a little bit of change up in the draft, but otherwise, Felts really are not looking too hot.
Yeah, I'm still struggling. The Warden, though, I will say, if there's anybody out there looking for a solid support player who are not really having any real hiccups about poaching players, the Warden's really putting together a bit of a show reel here. But for the time being, he is still very much a part of this Felt lineup, and they got to try and do something heading into game two, as you say. So we'll see what adjustments get made there. Before we move into that second game, however, we are going to take just a little bit of time here to get the old ad read in. So time to talk to you once again about the new HyperX Armada 25 FHD gaming monitor, which is coming very, very soon. The monitor, you've heard all the specs by this point, but we'll go over it anyway, right? It's a 24.5-inch display, 240 hertz refresh rate, 1 millisecond response time, and has the IPS panels for the highest color gamut available in a monitor. So if you're looking for high quality graphics and just a monitor that, seriously, with a 240 refresh rate, that's kind of insane. But yeah, HyperX has your back with this new monitor, and if you are looking to pick one up, you can take advantage of a little bit of a discount being run during Pro Series 12. You can use the code HXBTS Armada to get up to 20% off MSRP. You can also click on the banner below the video player or click on the code being periodically put in chat there to get that discount. So thank you very much to HyperX. That promotion does run through the 7th of October. So if you are looking for a monitor, be sure to take advantage of that. But that is it. Quick and easy ad read. Don't want to bore you guys too much, but we are going to be moving along here. Game 2 between Felt and 5RATFORCESTAFF coming your way in just a few minutes.